Take me home tonight. Listen, honey, just like Ronnie said. Just like Ronnie said.
All right. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Unofficial Official Podcast, episode number 22 from Straight No Chaser. As always, I am Mike here with Segi and Tyler. What's up, guys? How we doing?
Good, good.
Hello.
Glad to be back. Had a
Good to
little
see you.
week off, and we can talk
Yeah.
about that too. But it's nice to be back.
Yeah, nice to see you guys. Episode number 22, as we were just having a conversation about. Insane that we've done this many, and it's been great. We're going to keep it going. But yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we've had a new episode, and we have a lot to talk about, and we're excited to get into that with you guys. As we tape this right now, it is the 19th of February, and we are going to just get into some things. We're going to talk about a show we had a couple weeks ago. We're going to talk about a podcast we were on last week, and we're going to keep y'all up to date on the things that are happening with us, arrangement wise and music wise and shows and everything. But it's good to be back with you guys for the pod. I know it's been a couple weeks, but how have you guys been doing? What's been going on?
It's been good, man. I just want to say thanks to all the listeners. I've been reading some of the emails, and they mentioned that they listen to it when they're at work or in the car or working out or something. And it's nice to hear that we're a part of your day. So thank you for letting us be a part of it. But I've been good. It's been a lot of the same, doing some arranging, doing some work around the house, being a dad, doing all those fun things. Taking care of my animals in the snow is fun. That's a thing that's been happening this week, so it makes a little bit more work for myself and Lauren, but we're hanging in there. It's supposed to be warmer next week, so kind of bear with it these next few days and we should be good.
Yeah, you'll be fine. If I know you, you'll
I just
figure out a way.
I just do what I'm told. I'm really just the guy that just checks off things off of his list.
Yeah, I think we're all that once we come home. I think it's easy to feel like we're once we get home, we're like the errand boys. You know,
Aaron Boyce.
it's like
Yeah.
go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. And
Which I'm
after
okay with. I'm okay with the list. That's fine.
I'm
That's
fine
when
with that too.
I have to think on my own. That's when it
As long
gets
as long as I know the goal, right?
right.
If I know what is requested exactly, I can do it because inevitably there always is going to be something that we miss,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's
Well,
part of it. Yeah, but Seki, how are you doing, man?
Chilling,
No.
doing good here. Got a
Yeah.
lot of snow the past week and a half, but you know,
Mhm. Yeah. So that's exciting. Doesn't seem like there's much going on in
not much.
Detroit.
Not much.
You tried real hard.
Kids had
Oh,
midwinter break,
yeah.
so that was
Oh my
fun.
gosh, the school that yeah, we got some snow here and it's like they freak out when there's like an inch or 3 inches of snow. Everything just shuts down and it just ruins the flow of everything. And it seems like I'm a little more, I guess, annoyed than I actually am because I can always work the next day, right? I can always
yeah.
do what I want to do the next day. Like it doesn't like actually matter, but in real time, it's annoying, right? Like you wake up and you're like, okay, there's no school, and then the next day at 6 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatever, there's no school tomorrow, and I'm just like, are you serious? What are we doing?
Wait, they
I,
call you have to wait till the morning to find out?
well, yesterday they knew that it was coming, so they called it, and then this afternoon it was about 4 o'clock or whatever. But I thought they would wait
Yeah, that was
because
ours
the
too.
roads are fine. Like I was driving all over today. Yeah, I went to some stuff, whatever, and it was just I just don't get it. But anyway, that's a thing, and that's fine.
I always wonder how like other people, other families with different jobs and stuff, like how they just deal with, oh hey, tomorrow like your kids are gonna be home,
Yeah, I don't think
and you
I'm the most
find
annoyed person.
out at 4 p.m. the
Yeah,
night before, okay, great. Well, I gotta rearrange my whole life and
yeah,
everything. Thankfully, I'm home and like this week has been fine because I've been here. But it's man, if we had like if both parents had regular jobs, dated 9 to 5 Monday through Friday,
Hmm.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, I mean, if this is the worst or the least of
Yeah.
our worries, I think we're doing okay. But
Also, I think they're allocated like a certain amount of snow days per calendar year, and if you don't use them, you lose them. If I'm the staff and I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
oh, I
No.
get a day off tomorrow,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
we're having a snow
uh-huh.
day, guys.
We used to have to make them up like at the end.
If you go past a certain amount, you have to make them up.
Okay.
But yeah, I bet it's a lot of that.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, paid day
that's
off tomorrow,
true.
let's do it.
Yeah,
I don't blame
uh,
it. It's got to stink for the parents.
yeah. Well, it happens. Yeah, but so in this episode, we're going to get into the reasons why we were off for the last couple weeks on the pod. And one of the reasons is we had a show down in West Palm Beach as a group. It was great. We got together. It was nice to see everybody after about a month and a half after the end of the tour. It's always different with the private shows. Just the vibe is different. It wasn't our normal setup. We didn't have like our normal sound guy. We didn't have our in-ears. We didn't have any video. So the show was smaller, right? And that was okay. But I always leave those shows and I think, man, that wasn't our best. But what I need to remember is that I don't think that's how they heard it. I think it was heard as that was awesome. But I think for us, if it's not our normal show, our normal setup, it can feel a little different. I don't know if that's something that you guys resonate with as well, but
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, think about it like going to see Timberlake in concert, right? And then you call and you say, hey, can Justin come perform in our conference room at our office? I think they have the right expectation of what they're about to see. I don't think they're expecting the full production of Timberlake. I think they're just expecting to see him.
hmm.
You know what I mean? Like when artists pop up in clubs and stuff and start playing, I don't think anyone's, oh, where are all the lights and video? You know what I mean? I think they're mentally prepared to receive it how it's presented. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
I guess I'm thinking more from our side of it, where like singing and just wanting to make sure that it's all right, it's all on and everything. And without the ears, without hearing everything like we normally do, it can feel like it's off. Even when it's not off, it can feel that way. And I definitely left the stage that night feeling like that. But at the same time, I felt like it was great and it worked. But it's that fight against those things where it's, well, yeah, like it was okay, but was it our best? I don't know if it was just because the balance might have been off because we had a new sound guy. Like it wasn't Yoneen and it was different stuff. It just, I don't know, but I don't think it was bad like at all. And I think everyone liked it. Obviously, afterwards we talked to people and it was great.
Yeah.
And everything. Um,
Private shows are always such a wild card, and when and the fact that on tour, like we can have some better crowds and some not so good crowds, but like a private show can be exponentially one way or the other. Like
mm,
it can be a show where I think we did one last year for a high school, and it was like so rowdy, and they loved everything that we did, and they were yelling and screaming and dancing and all this stuff. And then you can do some kind of dinner or something for some group who everybody's very nice and very accommodating, but they're having dinner and having drinks and talking to their friends and they don't care what you're doing.
yeah.
So it's just like this huge wild card with private shows. But I think that we did however 61 shows a certain way, and we're so used to doing it that way with the ears and the mics and the stage and everything that like you're put in this position, it's oh yeah, it's like a little bit different. I mean, we're literally outside in this guy's backyard in Palm Beach at this beautiful house. I mean, goodness gracious, it was awesome. And we were like held up in there, it was like the pool house or something,
Yeah.
which was gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it was great. So
yeah.
it's you have to think when you're performing in someone's backyard that's going to be a little bit different. And then the sound's different, so you're like, okay, well, I don't want to and you're outside too, which outside for an a cappella group is a whole different thing in itself. So it's like all those things combined. But regardless, I think everybody loved it, and they got to. What I thought was cool is they picked the set, right? So like we gave them a bunch of songs, and then they, picked and chose like all of the songs from the '90s or from this last fall tour, and so it was a nice little greatest hits of last year. It's cool.
And that's another thing too, is we don't have any, well, I guess we have some sort of control over the set list, not the actual final set list. I don't think we would have done half of those songs, right? I mean, it was like, okay. And,
I mean,
and
I
it's
don't
it's not
know.
to say that they were bad. It's just
Rank them right now.
I feel like we as a group would have been like, okay, what songs can we sing that we know are going to sound really good
Outside.
in a setting like this?
Yeah.
Right? And for example, I don't think that we would have done Earth, Wind, and Fire medley. Like, I just don't. But it worked, and it was a good song for that audience. I just think with all of the changes and the different songs and everything, that wouldn't have been something that we would have done normally at a show like that. Just if we didn't have ears, if we didn't have it just wouldn't have, right? But and I think that's something that I need to learn too, is that it's not about me and what I want. It's not about us and what we want. It's about what they want because they're hiring us. And I think we did an awesome job. I think we gave them exactly what they wanted. But it's hard not to think as you're walking off the stage, oh man, I heard something. I heard a guy who was louder in a section. I hope it didn't stick out because there's a new sound guy. I just like all those small things that no one's going to recognize or hear except for us. And I feel like I need to do better at just letting that stuff go. Hey, it was what it was, and they had a good time, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, I would suggest you do that.
For every show, for everything we ever do.
It would make your mental health better. I mean,
Oh, you mean just don't worry about it? Yeah, sure, I can do that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I
All
wish,
right.
I wish we could do that. That'd be really great. Yeah. And it wasn't even like it was bad or anything.
I
I want
think
it to sound
too,
like
though,
that.
like our experience has helped out a ton with doing shows like that and outside shows like that, where like early on, SNC would have just yelled the crap out of that show and just been all over the place. So I think we've
Early
got.
on, we
some of
certainly
the,
still did the other night.
some of the guys
And
still
that's
did.
why I walked off the stage. Goodness
I was
gracious.
trying to
Like,
give us the
what are we
benefit of the doubt.
doing? Like, come on. And but again, like it worked. It was fine. It was really fun, and they had a great time. And that's ultimately all that really matters in that,
Yep.
right? There's no way to get it exactly right every time. And I think that's ultimately like what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter, I guess, in the big scheme of things, how you think that you sounded. I think what really matters is if the audience had a good time and if the buyer of the show had a good time. And I think we were successful in that. I think also, too, it was really great that all of us were there early. We shot a lot of content, a lot of videos. That's actually something that I feel like all of us are trying to do more of, I think, as a group. And I feel like I saw the commitment level there rise a lot. I feel like we shot maybe 4 to 5 new videos with new songs as we're going to Asia and stuff. It was just nice to be able to shoot a lot of new content and to have everybody be behind it and not, you know, that
Dragging
whole,
their feet.
yeah, that whole like, why are we doing this? What's this for? Blah, blah, blah.
That was great. But
Mhm,
yeah, we got a ton done.
mhm.
Yeah, most of it was for promo and different stuff we want to do for Asia. So we filmed a bunch of stuff, and I think it was like shorter sections of songs, but it was fun. I had a good time doing it.
Yeah.
Songs that everybody knows or they should know because they've been on the radio a bunch.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
particular songs have done really well in some of the markets we're targeting in Asia. So that's why we say it's promo for Asia, because we're hoping that versions of these songs that do well over there will make it into their algorithms and introduce them to us. So that's the goal, but obviously everyone here can enjoy all those things too.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably something that we should be doing more of, even if there isn't like something on the horizon like Asia, right?
Yeah.
Like, but we don't on, but we don't always have that opportunity, right? To get in together.
That's the thing. We're never.
So that
Yeah.
that was nice about the private, right? Was that everybody could be in one spot. It always helps when we have a reason to go somewhere. So that was good. That was really fun. I want to do
I
more of that stuff, I feel. I think it'd be great to do
oh, I'd love to do more of it. Yeah, it's fun.
more of, I mean, obviously the shows are great, but
There was
having
a
opportunities to be together like that.
I was gonna say there was a little fun fact about where we were our holding area was for that show, about who stayed there.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Can I mention that?
Yeah.
Yes. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
so yeah, fun fact about this show is where we were being held before the show was in their pool house, like I mentioned before, in this beautiful multi-million-dollar home in Florida. And we were looking at the pictures and the stuff on the walls and stuff, and we found out that George W. Bush stayed in that guest house at one point. And she came in and told us the story, the lady that owned the house, I believe. And I was standing in the back, so I didn't hear the whole story. But yeah, he wrote her a thank you note on his, what do you call it, his letterhead, and said, "Thank you for letting me stay in your guest house. It was beautiful, blah, 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 George W. Bush." It was pretty cool. So I was like, that's cool.
He said in the letter, he was like, I slept in your mom's bed alone. He
Alone, yeah.
like
Yeah.
the alone part and
Mom's
like,
bed, slept in your mom's bed alone.
alone. He just had to make sure
That was funny.
alone, but it was like
I've heard he's a funny
alone.
guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. The thing about posting the content, like us needing to do more, is that a lot of the times we just get in our own way and we like overthink something to death, or we don't think something is up to par, whatever. The thing about social media that our generation probably struggles with is just post it. Like whatever it is, just post it. It's really not even about what you're posting. It's the fact that you're posting and like staying in algorithms and still being pushed to people and getting those eyeballs. Every TikTok coach or whatever, like you'll see their videos on TikTok all the time. All they talk about is just post it. Like anything in your drafts, just post it. And it's, yes, we need to do more of that, because a lot of times we'll get together and we'll do something about, I don't know, that's not great. Let's just not post that one. Or we'll just kill the idea before we even do it. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to post it. You never know. Like, you never know which thing could catch heat and have some virality to it.
I get that, but at the same time, you also don't want to like, I guess, water down what you're doing. And I feel like that's a fear that a lot of us have. I know like I have it where it's like if I'm going to be online singing something, or if we're going to be online singing something, if we're going to be out there like in the world singing stuff, like that's a representation of what we do. And yes, I get the whole you got to post, but if it's not any good, then I could see that sort of being like a detriment. I could also understand that it actually doesn't really matter. I think that's what you're saying too a bit is it's if they know you and they're watching you anyway, they know that most of the stuff you post is really good. And there might be some things in there that are just not any good. That's, I think, a little bit of like my fear is that if we're just willy-nilly about everything we post, and if it's a little bit ass or whatever, it's well, Like it's the same way with shows, right? It's you never know what show, if anyone is out there who has never seen you before and they're seeing you now for the first time and you have an off night, or if you don't think the is like up to par or whatever, there's always going to be somebody seeing what you just did for the first time. That is, I think that's the fear. I'm not fear, but I think that's the concern, at least that I have with the whole like, just go ahead and post it because you don't want to turn somebody off because there's a lot of acapella stuff that just is not any good. And even in our group, like those little things we do backstage, 90s things we did, or the green room sessions, right? That's not what it's about. And we know that it's not about it, like all the audio is not going to be fixed, everything's not going to be right. It's just like in the moment thing. But those in the moment things, if they're not any good, if they're not like locked in, it could have the potential to turn a listener off. I I don't know if that's the case because there's no way to know that, but I think you know what I'm saying. Like it is there has to be some sort of quality control. Um,
Sure. I think all of that is
yeah.
like common sense.
But it's not though. Just because like if I'm honest, a lot of those 90s things in the green rooms, like I wouldn't have posted those. Like I wouldn't have. Just like
They're pretty
I
raw.
was seeing those, if I was hearing those, I would be like, I don't know. But if I saw the show, I'd be like, this is awesome. It's exciting, right? But I feel like those little things are more for the people who already know us and like us.
I see.
It's not to get anybody new, unless it's just, whoa, that was amazing. There was no microphones, there was no effects, there was nothing. It was just them sitting in a room. But none of those videos were that in my mind. So I'm not saying that it was bad. I'm just saying it was just average. And I think that's the whole thing about like how you were saying, Segi, our sort of generation, like the older generation, has a bit of fear just about like stuff to post. And I think all that sort of comes from that idea of it has to be good. But they say the enemy of good is perfect, right? And I don't ever want to be hung up on that because it's never going to be perfect, but it still has to be good. It still has to be interesting. But it's hard with acapella. It's really hard. And I like your attitude, Segi, of like all this, of hey, just like have it out there. Just have it out there. Right. But there is a part of me that's, well, I don't know if that's always the best way to go. But in this day and age, it might be. You guys don't have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I went first. I told you what I thought, and then you went, and then Tyler's right
I
there.
know,
I mean, I agree with a lot of it. I mean, acapella is tough, especially live acapella is to sound good is tough. I mean, you have to have if you don't have microphones and you don't have a room that's gonna allow for reverb or reverberation, it's gonna be tough to sound good just because naturally voices together are tough to sound good. But
no, but that's not what
I mean, but about the posting thing, like
that's not what we're talking about. Like we have actually sounded really good in those rooms, right? But if I can remember right, they were about an hour before the show every night. It was always like, hey guys, let's get together an hour before the
yeah,
show while everyone's kind of doing their stuff, getting ready. So like nobody really wanted to be in there anyway. And it was like, okay, so let's just go ahead and do this. And in a way, you can see it. You can see at least, but I'm also super close to it, right? Maybe I'm not the best representative just to comment on what that was, right? But like the posting thing, yeah, I mean, I get it. And like ultimately, I think Segi is right, just in that if you're in the algorithm every day, something every day, even if it's
Doesn't matter what it
not
is.
up, yeah, even if it's not up like to your standard, but at the same time, like I don't think any of us would allow something to be out if we didn't like it. But in a group of 9 people, you have to pick your battles almost.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, but people have different like ideas of what it's for. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right. Absolutely. Yeah.
We're not releasing a produced track. We're
Yeah.
just goofing off in
Mhm.
this room here.
But
Um,
we know that. They
yeah,
don't
I know,
know
no,
that.
I know what you're
Right?
saying.
The
I know what you're
listener
saying.
has no idea that it's just, oh, an hour before the show,
Of course,
right? So there's a difference.
there is, but I think people are, you know, intelligent enough to understand what's happening in a moment, right?
Mhm.
If they're seeing a band off stage, they're gonna know it's different than if they're on stage.
Yeah.
I think
And I also
I
think too,
think
the
people
other
get
thing,
it.
yeah. And I also think now, because there is this whole thing about, all right, so are they singing live or is it a track or is it like whatever, lip synced or whatever?
Dude, everyone's
I
videos are lip synced
I will
online.
say though that everything that we do is live in the moment. And there's no way to calculate how much value that has, but I think it has a lot of value. It's like, so even if they hear something off, they're like, well, at least they're singing live, right? At least it's not
Yeah.
just a video that's out that's because anybody could do that,
Especially
right?
nowadays, I mean, it's so
Yeah.
easy to make it.
It's
Yeah.
just a music video.
It's just music, right? Right, right. So I wonder if that also has something to do with it too. Is it's like that sort of like we are putting ourselves out there. Hey, this is what we are, and it's not going to be like everything else you hear. It's not going to be perfect. And I wonder if there is a lot of value in that.
I think so.
I'm sure there is. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I know. I mean, I know, and we know. We hear from people that they appreciate that, and like you were saying,
Right.
especially this day and age when a lot of videos are like, "Oh, look at these guys live singing in a whatever." No,
Not like, yeah.
not live.
Yeah.
Those are definitely
It
recorded
sounds good.
vocals.
And I'm
Sounds
not,
sounds really good, but it's not live.
yeah, right. And I'm not saying that like in any way toot our own horn or whatever. It's just we have never, that's never been our thing. Like even in our live shows, if one of our guys is sick, right, it's never tracked. And I feel like we as a group know that, but I don't think a lot of people outside of the group realize that the majority of artists, the majority of shows that you see, if it's a cappella or if it's not, have some element of tracking. I'm not saying the singers are lip syncing, but there is some element of some sort of support underneath that. And we've never done that. We have never, ever done that, and we won't ever do that. I don't know if
It'd
that
make things a lot easier.
it would. And we've had opportunities where we could have, right? I mean, a couple years ago, guy was sick on tour for a long time, and we just it was
Also,
power
the
through.
live
It
the
just
live streams we had to.
absolutely.
They
Well,
weren't
live
there.
streams we had to do that just because
Yeah.
they weren't there. The bases weren't there. But I'm saying like, but in the normal tour process, we always figure it out. And I think the green room sessions and like the TikTok stuff and like the online stuff is a good representation of kind of our attitude
Representation.
and our, I guess, yeah, our attitude about how we go about that stuff. And I don't know, I think that's something that we should be proud of. That
Yeah,
we're that,
totally.
that right? Yeah.
But it's not to say one way is better or worse. The social media videos, they're all edited, they're all pre-recorded, and We have some of those. We've done some of
Sure.
those. We'll do some of those, but I don't consider those live I consider those
Mm.
music videos or clips. But like all the stuff where we're just standing around, and you can tell it's pretty obvious when a sound is produced and when it's not. So
And I guess I just hope that the audience is able to tell that, hey, this is obviously live and maybe it wasn't the best, but like it was live and it was awesome. And I actually saw them singing and I saw them, it was like real emotion and I could hear it in that. And I think, like I said earlier, I think there is a lot of value in that. Almost, I feel like seeing it and hearing it. And if you're hearing something that's off, what you feel about how it's happening and you know that it's live is going to usurp all of the other things that you thought were bad. You're like, oh, well, okay, that didn't exactly sound great, but they're live and it's real and I see them. I love this, right? Like it it can overpower that other thought of, oh, well, that's not perfect, right?
yeah, I equate it to going to see a basketball game, right? And you're watching your team, you're watching the Pistons. And if you watch them individually, you'll see each of them missing shots all game. You
Right.
know what I mean? You'll see them make some, you'll see them miss probably more. And at the end of the game, they're going to come out with a victory. They're going to win.
Sometimes.
So, no, like every time. But I'm saying collectively, at the end of the game, they're going to come out with the W. And that's what the people remember. They don't
Mhm.
remember, oh, your boy Cade missed 4 shots, you know what I mean, on a victory. So
Right.
I think that's the goal, right? Is just to get the collective victory, no matter
Hmm.
how we have to get there. And I think we do every time.
Right.
And that's what people leave remembering. They're
Right.
like, yeah, that was real. That was
Yeah.
real.
And I think,
There were imperfections, missed shots.
mhm,
Ultimately, they won. We all won
right.
together.
Right. And I think the whole idea of having the show down in West Palm Beach, that whole trip, the show, all the content, all the video that we did, I think at the end of it, it was a collective win. And I think everybody would
For only
agree.
one day, I mean, it's great.
It was a win, man. It was, and I hope that we can do more of that. And obviously, we all hope that we have more opportunities to shoot content in the same city, in the same room, in the same hotel, whatever we're in, as much as we can. And I think we'll have more opportunities like that as we go through the year here. We're
But speaking of that hotel,
please.
we were sharing that hotel with another group that was
We were.
there. I don't know if they were there for spring training or exhibition games or what, but we snuck into one of their conference rooms they had reserved for the day to rehearse. And a couple of the guys came in to grab their clothes, and a dude dropped his sock. And I was like, hey, bro, you dropped a sock. And he turned around and was like, thanks. And that was Walker Zimmerman.
Mm. Walker Zimmerman
Oh,
is
the
on the
Nashville Sound.
on the
Is that?
not
U.S.
the
men's national team,
not the
baby.
Nashville Sound. That is
Oh,
the
was it? That's a
that's
baseball team.
that's the AAA baseball team. It's
But you can get their tickets at.
Nashville Soccer Club. Yeah, NSC.
I was close.
Walker Zimmerman is on the national team. Yes.
Yep, I believe that we will win.
He is on the Nashville Soccer Club. Yes, they were having their training down there. I was looking it up because Walt actually sent me a text. Was like, I think they're here, and I was like, oh, all right, cool. And I looked it up. I wonder just if they have a game down here in Miami, and then I didn't realize that the season actually starts on Saturday here.
Guys,
They have a home game against New England Revolution, but the season hadn't started yet. And I thought to myself, well, they're at a Marriott in West Palm Beach. And then I started putting the two and two together where it was like, yeah, like the MLS teams don't have the biggest budgets in the world. So I was like, I thought it was strange that they were there and they were like walking through the parking lot doing like high knees and doing things. And I was about to be like, hey, I'm a season ticket holder, but I
Like, oh,
didn't.
Mike Logan Bill.
But I didn't because I'm still a season ticket holder, but we don't really go to a lot of games anymore, and I feel bad about that. But and I, uh, and I wouldn't have said anything anyway, just because that's not my style. But like, I wanted
A
to be
nice
like,
note.
what?
He would have written a nice note.
Yeah, yeah, right. I would have left it in their little training set in their little. But I was happy that they let us use one of their rooms so that we could rehearse our songs for the show that night.
They didn't let
In
us.
there.
We just
We
walked
just
in
went
there.
in there.
Yeah.
And then when we were leaving, there was a security guy who was on the phone. And like I heard him say, oh, now they're leaving now. It's all good. Yeah. Like I
Better
didn't
to ask for
better
forgiveness
ask
than
for
for
forgiveness
permission.
than permission.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see that. But I did want to ask you guys about one other thing. I know we took up a lot of the pod with the show and some other things, but the reason why we were not on last week is because we were invited to come on another podcast called The Avid Indoorsman, hosted by Rob Lundquist, who is a member of the a cappella group Home Free. He and I think his co-host was
Eric Bugler.
right,
Bugs.
Eric. Super fun podcast. That was last Wednesday night, which is when we usually record. So we did that, and it was a movie game night. So we had a bunch of categories, and we went through a bunch of stuff, and these guys got everything right. I did well on the Jeopardy part, only with the singing or like songs that were in the movies, but it was really fun, and I'm looking forward to when that's out. I think that's coming out. I think maybe tomorrow. So is that right? Well,
It,
as we tape this, it's Wednesday.
as we tape this Thursday, the 20th. Yeah, but
Okay.
it's out. Go
Oh,
check it out.
great, great.
Yeah, go check it out. It was fun. We got to play some movie games, and each game had its own theme that we had to try to guess, which was fun. Rob and do a great job, and it's fun to these games that they have are really fun, and it's
Super clever.
and yeah, very, very clever, and they're a lot of fun to play, and it's one of those things where like you think you know a lot about movies, and then like you do something like this, oh man, like I should know what this is, and you don't. But yeah, they're very fun guys, and we had a good time doing that podcast, and I hope we get to do that again. That was really fun.
Yeah, those dudes are great. They're like, I consider myself a movie buff, but
They're like,
pale.
what? Yeah,
I
Yeah.
pale in comparison to those guys. It's insane their knowledge of film. So like their normal episodes, the game nights are like special episodes. The normal
Oh, I didn't know
episodes,
that. I
yeah,
thought they were all like that. Okay.
no. So a normal episode is they'll have a guest on, and they'll just be doing one movie. They just talk about one movie.
Oh,
So they have different categories that they go through, like best performance, best scene, best line, best like that guy.
almost the
Almost like the ringer.
almost
Yeah.
like the rewatchables.
Yes.
oh okay.
Okay,
Similar.
okay,
And
yeah,
you
like the Bill
you
Simmons.
yeah
Yeah.
and you've done one of them, haven't you, Segi?
I've done a bunch.
Oh,
I've done a bunch of them, and it's always awesome. Bugs will always send out a Google Doc with just like their schedule of movies for the year, and it'll be like
You'll pick one.
any one of these you feel strongly about, just
Oh,
initial.
that's cool.
So I'm usually like initialing 5 or 6 movies that I want to rewatch again, so I could then talk
Right.
about it with them.
Nice.
But yeah, those dudes are great, and the show's awesome. Avid Indoorsman, available anywhere you get podcasts
Awesome.
to your ears.
Awesome.
We
Yeah,
should have them on
that
ours
would be
sometime.
fun.
We should.
Yeah, because we could talk all things a cappella, all things music. I think Eric was a singer as well, or is a singer as well, right? He was in groups with
Mhm.
Rob and all that stuff. And I didn't actually know that when we started it, but as we go through it, if you listen, you'll get to hear a little bit about him as well. That was really fun. Like we said, it's out now. The Avid Indoorsman. You should subscribe. It's a really fun time. And
Yeah.
I'm sure some other guys, well, I know some other guys in the group have already been on it, right? Right, Sagi?
Just
Other
us
guys
and
Me
from
Freedom.
and Freedom that we did last
Freedom.
Okay,
year.
Frito.
That's
Some
what Robert
chips.
called him forever. He's like, "Oh, if Frito could come over here." I'm like, Frito, like the chip? He goes, "Oh, I thought that was his name." I was like,
Frito.
no."
Oh man, Fredo, freedom, Fredo. Sorry, that got me. Yes, he's been on there as well. He has a wealth of knowledge about movies as well. So I think Segi though has the actually
Segi,
maybe actually I don't know, Ty. You did
nah, I
well
did
on that
okay.
one.
Segi's probably seen way more movies than I have, but see, Segi goes pretty deep in all the Oscar stuff, so he sees like
Yeah,
all those movies every year. Like when
yeah.
they asked spoiler alert, they asked an Oscar question, and I was like, oh boy,
I mean, all of us got it though.
yeah, true.
All because it was
I
just
forgot about
name-
Wicked and
well, it was
Dune.
just to name like actors that were nominated or like actors, actresses that were
Yeah,
nominated for.
Yeah.
So it's not the hardest thing, but if it was like, hey, name three movies that are nominated for Best Picture, that would have been a little bit harder, but I still think I would have gotten it, even though I have a limited knowledge of it. But it was really fun. But yeah, so again, that is the Avid Indoorsman. That's out now, and we would encourage you all to go listen to it and to like and subscribe to their podcast. But as we're going to wrap up this episode, I was going to ask you, Ty, if there were any questions in the mailbag that you thought that we should answer on this episode.
yeah. Let me see what I got here. Actually, our friend Rich asks when we're gonna get a theme song for the mailbag. I was like, it's a good question. We should work on something, or I don't know, try to figure out something.
We will work on that
Yes.
once we get all of our new 90s material and all of our new Asia material and all of our new holiday
So
material.
we'll put you on the
It's
list.
not at to the top of the.
I have about 40 versions that I was gonna play
Oh,
for
there
you.
we go.
Oh, do you? Is it already on your TikTok that you're gonna put your
We're
phone
gonna
up and
post
show
them all.
everybody?
Yeah.
Hey,
No, he
hey,
did ask.
hey, you should go ahead and just send those out because it doesn't matter the quality, right? You should just go ahead and
And
Yeah.
we're back. Oh my
go ahead and
gosh.
post them. Just
Hey,
send them out.
it's gonna be like 3 years before we post the next episode anyway, so I don't think it matters.
We're having a good time. He did ask a real question about this is Rich in Aurora, Illinois, our friend Rich. He says in many words, I'll put them into few. When you watch a performance of something, a musical performance, are you watching it like are you dissecting it or can you turn off your brain and just watch?
I think for me it depends what it is.
I
If
think
it's an anthem,
yeah.
well, I guess
The anthem is so critical because
I
you're
sh
by yourself.
yeah, I guess I should preface this with anybody who's in a situation where they're going to be watched by lots and lots of people. I already have a lot of empathy and a lot of sympathy
Sure.
for them
Get
in
a lot
how
of
it's
grace.
going to go. If it's going to go bad or if it's going to go great, like I already have that because I know how hard it is. I think for me, I don't look at it either way. I just look at it for what it is and be like, okay, cool. That's what it is. Secretly be well, not secretly, but being like, man, I wish that was me. Or
Dude, you're stealing my answer.
I wish that I had that opportunity. So yeah, yeah, right. So I don't look at it in any way other than, man, that was awesome. Or if it was not that good, I'm like, oh, I wonder if there was something going on with their ears or if they couldn't hear right or because they wouldn't be in that spot if they weren't talented or have the like I guess ability, right? Like
Yeah.
to be in that spot. So that's a tough question. I guess the answer is like neither. I don't look at it in any way other than, hey, that's cool.
For me,
Like not a critical eye, I guess.
yeah. For me, I'm unless I'm like trying to be funny, I'm not usually watching anything to be critical.
Mhm.
Anything that I'm watching that I do and I think I can do, those are the moments where I get jealous that I'm not on stage. Just as a performer, I'm like, dang, I'd rather be on stage than be in
Right,
the audience.
right.
But when I'm watching people do things that I cannot do, rip on other instruments or a female vocalist or high tenor or low bass, whatever, then I'm able to not have that feeling of jealousy. Oh, I wish that was me up there doing that. Then I'm just like a regular viewer. Wow, that's just really amazing. Like you can really
Mhm.
take it in because it's you've completely eliminated that whole part of yourself in that situation, right? So now you could just think solely on what you're taking in. So that's where I'm at.
I think, I mean, because of what we do, it's the thing where yeah, you can look at it as critical or if something goes bad or they didn't sound good, but then you also like when it goes well, you know what it takes to do this performance. So you have already have experience in that. So you're like, I know what this takes to do well, and they're doing a great job. So I think for me, for lack of a better term, my ear is always on. Whether it's turned up all the way or down is just depending on what I'm listening to. But I think my ear is always on and it's always listening for stuff and I'm good and bad. So I think my ears has always been on.
I think it's a natural thing for humans when they hear something or they're watching something to automatically
Yeah.
go, "Y- y- okay, was that really good or was that really bad?
Yeah, I
Or
mean, look at
was
Twitter
that
5 seconds
good or
after the anthem, and
exactly,
you'll see
exactly.
you'll see
So,
how people feel either way.
right. I mean, I can speak for myself and I can say I don't know enough about everything just to have an opinion on things. I could have an opinion, but if it's not going to serve the greater good, then what's the point of even saying anything at all? Like unless you're having a discussion with your friends. Okay, fine. If you're going to ask me like what I thought about this movie or what I thought about any sort of performance, okay, fine. Like I'll say it. But I think on the whole, it doesn't serve the greater good to be, I don't know. Or the
Proactively
or the
negative.
comment. Oh yeah.
Okay, so we have one
Next
from
question.
Pat Jones from Phillips, Wisconsin. Um, where did we film Marvin Gaye, especially the outdoor shots at the end? And how did Mike actually do the flip where the beer is poured into his mouth? I don't even remember what that is.
I don't know.
Do you know what she's talking about?
Chicago. Is
Oh, it
where
was
we filmed it.
Chicago. That's right.
Chicago. We rented an Airbnb when they were still allowed to operate there.
Are they not?
In like a lot of big cities that they aren't anymore. Like,
Wait, was it an Airbnb or did someone
oh, did we know
know
the
them?
guy? It was an IU
Somebody,
grad who lived
yeah,
in that house. That's right. That's
yes,
what it was. Okay.
because they were
Anyway,
there. Yeah,
yeah,
they were there.
Chicago. Don't remember the hanging upside. Oh, I think what it was, they had this little thing outside. It was like a veranda or like gazebo thing. And on the top, it was like separated, like the wood was like separated, like they were open, like so I think I hung my legs over one of those things and somebody poured the beer down and I don't actually remember the specifics
I
other than
cannot
it
tell
was in
you
I
anything
don't
Chicago.
about
remember
that
that.
video.
I remember being at that house, but that was about it. I mean, we did it
I
a
remember
long
not
time
liking
there.
the video. I remember that.
You?
Didn't
It
we
just
all just
it
go
just
mad
felt
for
real
that video?
forced. It just felt real forced. The girl that was there, it just felt very like
I feel like that about a lot of
Lovely,
our
lovely
I
gal.
don't know. No, she was
videos.
great, but it just felt very, I don't know, man.
I'm
That was
with
like
you.
9 or 10 years ago now, right? It
Yeah.
was probably
Yeah, 2016 maybe.
15, 16. Yeah. So
Look it up.
I think it was a camera trick, if that makes sense.
Nine
You're like a magician giving away his secrets.
9 years ago, 1.4
That's what
million
this
views.
pod is about. 1.4 million views.
Yep.
That, that's like a weekend for some people now.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks
Nice.
everybody
like
for
me. 1.8 million views since
yeah.
Valentine's
8
Day.
million views on your song that you sang for Detroit.
No, I
Oh
wish.
God, here we go. Here's about to play it.
Wait, of this
Hello,
one?
Detroit.
No, friend of the group, Josh Sneed,
Oh, nice.
comedian.
Oh, oh yeah, your repost about
He's
Valentine's Day.
not a repost. I made the video because I was like, Josh has a great Valentine's Day video. I'm gonna chop it up and make a clip and post it. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's sitting at 1.8 million views. Crazy.
Awesome. Yeah, if you guys like really funny things, if you like stand-up comedy, you can go see Josh Sneed.
Yeah,
Um,
he's clean comic
all
too,
the
so he will not
all
offend.
yeah, all the socials. Josh Sneed, he's so funny. And we got to see him at our show in Cincinnati
He
um,
wants to come on too.
months ago.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Cool. Um, Guys, this has been great. Those were awesome questions. Thank you guys for writing in. As always, we want to encourage you to email us and to subscribe at Unofficial Official Pod. Email at unofficialofficialpod@gmail.com and we'll answer your questions. I know that Rich writes in a lot, but we promise that we will ask other questions other than from Rich. But Rich, we encourage you to keep writing because you're awesome and we love you.
And Mike doesn't have the mailbox on his phone.
And I don't exactly. I look forward to hearing what has been written in and hearing what's been asked. All right, guys. Uh, those were awesome questions. Thank you for writing in. We always appreciate hearing from you guys, and we will look forward to answering more of your questions. As we're wrapping up here, I do want to throw it over to Segi to talk about SNC 90s 90s show part 2. We are very excited. Dates have just been released. Segi, can you tell people more about that, please?
Yeah, we just announced the Summer the 90s Part 2 tour this summer, coming all over the United States. You can get tickets at sncmusic.com. We announced some fun things: a show with Frankie Valli at the Greek Theater, a show out in Vegas, at the Smith Center, a show at the Jakarta Jazz Festival. I don't think it's called the Jakarta Jazz Festival. I think it's something else, Jazz Festival. Either way, we'll be in Jakarta. Jacob Collier is headlining that festival. So I know a lot of the guys in this group are geeking out pretty hard. They're big fans. So yeah, all that information's at sncmusic.com. Grab your tickets. Come see us this summer.
We would love to see you on the 90s tour, number 2. There's going to be some new music, some old songs that we're going to bring back, some songs from last year from the 90s, but it's going to be real fun. So we would encourage you to look for that, sncmusic.com for tickets. And as always, we are very thankful for all of you who are listening, who have supported us through the shows and the podcast, everything. And we look forward to more of these episodes and having more guests on, some alumni, some guys in the group, some other different things. So for Segi and Tyler and Mike, this has been episode number 22 of the Unofficial Official Pod. We will see you next week. Thank you so much.
See you.